All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and do a video here. And it's going to be reacting to Stevie Knight reacting to Nick Fuentes. So it's one of those damn videos. Now, we all know who Nick Fuentes is. Nick Fuentes is a white man who is a firebrand. He says a lot of things that are inconvenient truths for people. So he gets labeled a racist and anti-Semite, all those types of words. Tucker Carlson recently called him a gay kid in his basement in Chicago, which he doesn't cop to. Well, he kind of sort of did, but didn't. But on this particular video right here, he's making a video, or rather he posted something to X, or somebody clipped to his podcast and posted it to X, where he said some stuff about black people. And Stevie Knight's going to go ahead and take a look at this. And by the way, Stevie Knight's a really good content creator. I've been following him for quite some time. Really been following him on his hip hop music, his reviews of hip hop music. Has a really good mind on that stuff. But every now and then he dips his toes into the pop culture, especially when it pertains to black people. So make sure you guys go ahead and give him a follow. I think this is one of his channels, Night Talk. I think he has another one, Stevie Knight. You can Google, or rather you can search YouTube for that channel. So make sure you guys go ahead and give him a follow and everything like that. And while I'm going to go ahead and react to his commentary and might go ahead and give my own commentary on his stuff, just understand I don't have a really big disagreement with anything that Stevie Knight is saying here in general. I just have some different takes on what he's going to be positing, and I wanted to go ahead and share that. So before I do get into the content, make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get right off into this.
Let's do it.
It's a shame. I really do believe, look, I think black people are not irredeemable, but there just needs to be brutal honesty. It's like, look, these black people are really struggling and they're turning into these maniacs. It seems like they don't do anything right. They're obnoxious, they're rude, they're inconsiderate, aggressive, cruel. And, you know, look, nobody hates black people for being black. If there are people like that, I think that's exceedingly rare. And I don't consider myself one of them. The reason that people have negative attitudes about black people is because most people's interactions with black people are negative. Most people's interactions with black people is when you're stuck in traffic and you see a Nissan Altima speeding down the shoulder. And you say, what the fuck? You're not supposed to do that. If everybody did that, it would just be another lane. And, you know, not everybody can do that. But it's like these people have no respect for decorum. They think the rules don't apply to them. They have no respect for society. Like that's their interaction is they are a waiter and they wait on a black table and the black people don't tip and they're fucking rude. Like that's most people's interactions. It's stuff like that. They go to the DMV and they see a black person behind the counter and they say, oh, here we go. And the person's rude. Now, it just goes to show people are not racist. It goes to show people don't like people that are rude. That people don't, it's unpleasant. People want to be treated with consideration and respect. And it is true that black people are, in this day and age, unfortunately, seem to have very low moral character. It's not even just the violence, although the violence is pretty striking. If you live your life and you know that you're going to be mugged by black people, it kind of colors your opinion or perception of black people, wouldn't you say? If 99% of the carjackings and stabbings and shootings that you see in Chicago are by black people, when you're walking down the street late at night, guess what you're looking for? Black people. And you equate that with danger. And it doesn't take a lot of them to spoil the whole bunch like that. And we just want black people to take accountability and say, look, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. It just seems that every time I encounter you people, for the most part, it's negative. And sometimes extremely negative, like I could get a gun in my face. You know? That's a problem. And people go, well, you are just loaded up with hatred and racism. It's like, I'm really not. I'm a really friendly person. I'm a really polite, friendly person. I give everybody a chance. But if I'm someplace and I see some black person walking in with their pants sagging and they can't articulate what their problem is or what they need, and they're rude and they're aggressive, and I'm in fear for my life, like, yeah, I have a problem with all of that. And people go, and these black people go, well, you're racist, you're racist. It's like, no, I just hate inconsiderate behavior. If black people were super well behaved, we would be racist in the other direction. We'd say, black people, oh yes, dude, yes. My day is about to turn around for the better. What can I help you with, sir? Please come right on in. Man, what a relief to see you here. You're a sight for sore eyes. If black people were known for being the best, then we would be racist in the other direction. Oh, finally. So yeah, that really bothers me. It just bothers me in this damn ass city, because that's all it is in Chicago, is just these black people who can never take accountability. It's always somebody else's fault.
Now, before I let Stevie Knight get off in there, I just want to say this. When I hear everything that Nick Fuentes said, I fundamentally don't disagree with the word he just said. Now, could he possibly be a racist towards black people? Yes, and here's why I would say that's the case. Listen to how let me go back and play just the last portion of what he was talking about when it comes to racism against black people in the opposite direction.
And man, what a relief to see you here. You're a sight for sore eyes. If black people were known for being the best, then we would be racist in the other direction. Oh, finally.
Okay, so listen, so that vernacular, and I like the way he actually used the term racist here, because when he uses the term racist, he's using it as a descriptor to say, hey, this class of people, this type of behavior is associated with this class of people. So if black people were the most considerate, the most affectionate, the most loving, the most caring, the most humble, the most integral, had all these redeeming qualities about black people, we would be like, wow, that is a good person. We know we would be safe around that person. We know that that person can be trusted to be left to their own devices or left around other people's stuff in order to do what's right. But here's where I say that Nick Fuentes is probably a racist, and more likely is. And I would say I don't know him personally, but I'm just going to go based off what he was talking about here. I'm going to say with the 90% certainty, he's a racist against black people for precisely what he's mentioning here. And that when you meet a black person, they are rude, they're inconsiderate, they are uncouth, they engage in very immoral behavior. And if you try to call them out on it, they get mad at you. They don't take accountability. They get mad at you. So when you take all that into consideration, Nick Fuentes is more than likely racist against black people based on those qualifications. So all that he was mentioning right there in terms of violence, in terms of behavior, I have no disagreement with it. And in older times, we used to have really good conversations about these types of things without getting offended, because we all were adults about the conversations that we were having. We were always having these conversations about race and about behaviors within certain racial cultures for a very long time. We never needed to have the quote unquote conversation about race because we were always having it. You go back and look at a lot of our television shows from the 90s, the 80s, 70s, 60s. They handle these types of conversations with dignity and respect for both sides. But nowadays, all you got to do is just drop the word racist and suddenly all types of conversations cut off. We automatically assume that that person's a bad person. We can't sit there and consider the words that they're saying or anything like that. So that's another reason why I'm kind of respectful that men like Stevie Knight. I also watched this video first on the Cartier family, which is another channel that's a really good one follow. If you need some really good black conservatives to go ahead and follow, that's another good channel to follow. They were listening to this as well. We should be able to go and have these types of conversations without automatically assuming the person who's delivering the message is a bad person. I don't know Nick Fuentes. I'm not going to make any judgment or anything like that, but based on what he's saying right here, I profoundly agree with the message. I'm going to play I'll play a video towards the end of this that's going to further reiterate why he has the type of attitude that he has and why so many of us have that type of attitude as well. So let me go ahead and let Stevie Knight jump off in here and give his take.
Else's fault.
I was curious about his own interactions with black folks to have such a generalization of black folks. I mean, like, how many ghetto black folks are you running into that act that way? I mean, but he answered the question if he's living in Chicago, because there are certain parts of Chicago where there's nothing but that type of shit around. Well, at least that's what I heard. That's the narrative. You feel me? I ain't been in Chicago around all that. I ain't been in Chirac, but then it's like there's good pockets of Chicago too. So like, what you doing in Chirac? But anyway, that makes sense if that's all his interactions with black folks in Chicago.
Now, before he goes on, I'm going to say this. If you have one poisonous interaction with someone, shouldn't that interaction jaundice your view for the entire group? Now, it sounds unfair, but we got to understand something. We are only on this earth for X amount of years. And if you encounter one poisonous interaction, then you're going to have your guard up for the rest of your life. Let's just use for an extreme example, the couple in Cincinnati, Ohio. The white man that got jumped by a whole bunch of black people, and then the white woman herself who got sucker punched first by a woman, then by a man, nearly costing her life. If before both those people may have had positive interactions with black people well before those interactions with those black people on that particular day. But after suffering such trauma at the hands of black people, would you really hold them at fault if for the rest of their lives they said, you know something, we better stay clear away from black people because I don't want to be hurt like that again? Would anyone really blame them for having that thought in their head to say, hey, I need to stay safe. I need to stay away from black people because if I go around black people, I might get jumped again, or I might get sucker punched again. I might lose my life. It only takes one interaction. And that's why I say you need to always protect your reputation. Because once you lose your reputation, all bets are off. And the reputation of black people has been lost for so many generations. And now it's just finally caught up. A lot of people just are sick and tired of dealing with black people. And that's not, and there are real good people out there. I'm pretty sure Stevie Knight's a good man. I try to be a good man. It's hard, but I try. I know lots of other black men and black women that try to be good. But then you got the black people that go out there and go out of their way to commit crimes, to be rude, to be obnoxious, to be uncouth. People ain't got time to go out there and learn everybody out there. So we have to operate on some type of generalization. And Stevie Knight's going to get into this point about generalizations of black people here in just a minute. But I'm just pointing out, if you have one very colorful interaction, whether positive or negative, but especially negative, Shouldn't that be allowed to have that? Shouldn't a person be allowed to have that colorful view of a group to protect themselves? I would think so. Let's go ahead and let Stevie Knight continue.
But even with that, it's like, I'm curious of the genuineness behind this video, because Nick Fuentes has to be smart enough to know that all black folks don't act that way, right? That's just the narrative. That's the image the media wants to depict black people as, to perpetuate this divisiveness. But he has to know that, man. So, and he has to know that that's going to be the response from black folks to a video like this. When you generalize all black folks as ghetto, loud, aggressive, you feel me? That's just entirely inaccurate, you know. But with that, I'm in agreement with a lot of things that he says outside of the generalization of black folk, because your boy got some ghetto fatigue. You mean?
And there you have it right there. Now, when it comes to generalizations, we all operate on them. We all operate on generalizations. Once again, we don't have time to go out there and learn the behaviors of 340 plus million people in this country, or 8 billion people on Earth. So we have to operate on some type of generalizations about groups. And when it comes to generalizations and stereotypes, they are earned, they are not given. If you go back and look at the black man prior to the 60s, things were on the up and up for the black man. Yeah, was there racism around and everything? Of course there was. But the black man and the black woman were family oriented. They had traditional values. They took care of their own, and they took care of their communities. And they tried to stay out of trouble as much as they possibly can. And then the 60s came about. And the trajectory of the black man and the black woman just completely went off the rails. I was looking at Patrick Bet-David's Valuetainment show earlier. And in fact, let me go ahead and just pull back from this for just a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and find that video, and I'm going to be right back. Now, this video that I'm about to show from the Patrick Bet-David was from today's Valuetainment show. And they were responding to these kids right here that were stuck inside of a Walmart, or rather a Walgreens, because they were shoplifting. And these were the definitions of Bebe's kids. The very definition: cursing, threatening people, acting like fools and everything like that. But we all know that this is learned behavior. Kids are not born this way. This is learned behavior from their parents. And this is a video that that Valuetainment and them was showing from the 80s about single mothers and their thoughts about single motherhood and everything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and let that play for a minute right here.
This is in 1986. You're talking 40 years ago, okay? They're interviewing a bunch of single mothers, okay? And look how they're speaking. Go ahead, Rob.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down, because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home.
There you go.
No, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Wow.
Though you would not have heard such things said so freely, because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDon said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the black families today are headed only by a woman.
That's
Brenda said she
86.
could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock.
Unbelievable.
And Patrick David is right. Do you think that problem with the black home has gotten better or worse since 1986? Do you think that problem has gotten better or worse since 1986? I'm going to do my Dr. Umar Johnson right here. Do you think that problem has gotten better or worse since 1986? It's gotten far worse. And people have gotten sick and tired of it. It's not ghetto fatigue, it's black fatigue. I know we want to try to separate ourselves and say, well, we not like them niggas over there. Or we not like them niggas over there. People like Nick Fuentes ain't going to look at it that way. They're going to just look at it like, man, these black people, they're off their rockers. And we got to take this as a responsibility as the group. We got to do something about this because the rest of society has gotten sick of it. So it's not ghetto fatigue, it's black fatigue. Let me go ahead and let Stevie Knight continue.
And that's all it sounds like this is, just ghetto fatigue. Or no, not ghetto fatigue, black fatigue. That's all this sounds like is black fatigue. He's saying black fatigue, bro, but that is a certain pocket of black folks. You know, motherfucker like me, I don't take offense to it, bro, because I'm not that type of black person he's describing, nor does any of the black people I surround myself with act that way. And there's a whole demographic of black folks out here that do not align with the ghetto hood booger type shit that comes out of the black community, bro. But what you're describing, sir, is black culture, right? You feel me? And I agree with everything he says outside of just brushing all black folks like that, because that's just absolutely false. And
It may be absolutely false, but to Nick Fuentes, it's absolutely true. So you got that dichotomy there. Black men like me and Stevie Knight will say, no, that's false. But white men like Nick Fuentes and other races that are in this country, they'll say, no, that's true. Because all I see on TV, every time it comes up on the TV, we know that when the news don't say the race of the person, that we know that person is black. We are almost trained to understand that when the news leaves certain details out of a crime story, oh yeah, that's a YN. That's a young scholar. They ain't gonna tell us the truth. We can't put it out there for when black people do criminal acts. We got this false narrative of what we think of black people. Haven't you seen the latest Tyler Perry movie? Haven't you seen the latest fake true story where the black person is just the hero, knows everything, is so smart, so respected, so influential to the direction of this country? Haven't you seen those kind of movies? Nah, we can't tell the truth about this stuff. Oh, haven't you seen the latest thing where the young thug got killed by the cop? Oh, he was just a young, loving kid. He never got into trouble. He was on his way to being a straight A student, looking forward to going to college. We may think it's false, but the other racial groups think it's absolutely true about black culture.
the majority of black folk are not going to be rational enough. I mean, majority of people, period, not going to be rational enough to not take offense by what he's saying because he's not talking about you. You know, I would be curious.
A whole bunch of irrational people got mad at Sydney Sweeney over a jeans ad. You think that they'll be able to sit there and listen to Nick Fuentes talk like that if they can't handle the fact that a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman does a jeans ad because and the pun is she has great genes, a play on the word Jeans, by saying that she has great genes, which obviously she does have great genes because Sydney Sweeney is hot as fuck. Do you think that they'll be able to handle a conversation like this from Nick Fuentes? White people ain't supposed to talk like this to black people. That makes them automatically racist.
How Nick Fuentes would interact with someone like me or whomever else that's black that does not portray the ghetto black image and like to, you know, see how he respond. I would wonder what he's thinking like this when he sees black folk. Every black person he sees, he immediately associates that image towards. That's dangerous. It's no different from women out here brushing all men as grapists and misogynists and sexist and all this shit, or, you know, violent or whatnot, man, because of whatever interaction they've had with the few men that have represented men the absolute worst way. But that often happens though. You have an interaction with a few of a group and now you automatically associate all men as, you know, demonic rapists because you've run into a few bad apples. But that would just be stupid to sit here and label every man out here a rapist, but that's what they do, and that's exactly.
Now I'm gonna disagree with Stevie Knight right here because listen to what I said earlier. You are only responsible for you keeping you alive. If a woman had that type of negative experience with the man, is it really the man's fault? Other men's fault that she thinks the way she thinks? She's trying to keep herself safe. I would hope if a woman had a negative experience like that with a man, she would have that type of guard up. Now, should she have that guard up permanently for the rest of her life? No, but it's the man who's going to be coming into her life that needs to earn her trust and her respect, and that so that she can lower her guard and be around that man. But until then, nah, have that wall up. Keep yourself safe. Keep yourself safe. I, as a man, I always try to have my head on a swivel because I frankly don't trust anybody. I trust my family, my immediate family and everything like that. But even then, you don't know when family might flip out on you. You got to always keep your head on a swivel because your primary duty as a man is to try to keep your family safe and keep yourself safe. So we should have the same expectation that women should have this as well. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay protected. If it comes to racial groups, if you know that certain racial groups are more violent than others, you should try to do your best not to be around those certain racial groups. Again, generalizations and stereotypes are earned, not given.
Exactly what Nick Fuentes is doing right now. You can't do that, bro. You can't do that. You know what I mean? But I know he's not the only one that feels this way. There's a lot of motherfuckers that feel this way, man. And you got to use some logic. You got to use your logic. You got to use your fucking brain to know that all black folks don't act like that. The majority of black folks don't act like that. It's just the obnoxious, degenerate, loud shit you see that is meant to get your attention to force you to view black people that way. You know, it's no different than viewing LGBTQ a certain way, or viewing white people a certain way, or viewing Mexican people a certain way. The media depicts certain groups as the worst stereotypes of these groups to have people stereotyping groups this way, bro. when it's not the case. You know, it just sucks, bro. It sucks, dog. You know what I mean? Being black and knowing that narrative is out there, bro. Being black, having that fucking narrative about black folks, dog. I hate that shit. I absolutely hate that shit, bro. It does us such a fucking disservice, man. You know what I'm saying? It keeps us held down, and that keeps us held down more than anything compared to all these other things that black folks typically cry victim about that's keeping them down, like the man keeping me down, redlining keeping me down, racism keeping me down. You know what I mean? When, 9 times out of 10, black folks don't have no way to prove any of these things that they claiming, right? But damn well this narrative, how black people are seen, right, of how certain black people act is doing the most disservice to the black community more than anything, bro. If all black folks took it upon themselves to represent the black community in a positive way, bro, we could fucking fix this shit, bro. You know what I mean? Fucking fix this shit, dog. But it's
All he's doing is repeating exactly what Nick Fuentes said. Except, if we think about this, black folks view white people very negatively, and I don't think that negativity is earned. They keep going back to the past and trying to bring back what happened in the past in very small situations and trying to apply that to the entire group of white people right now. And that's part of the reason white people are also tired of this as well. They're tired of being blamed for everything that happened in the past that they had no part of. A lot of white people are upset with what the white people of the past had done too, which is why we did so many things to try to go ahead and give civil rights protections and race-based protections to black people specifically. Now, unfortunately, those things have turned out to not work as intended, but our society as a whole still tried to work in that particular type of direction. And going back to about a lot of things that black people like to do about blaming and looking at external factors as opposed to taking accountability about themselves, that's exactly what Nick Fuentes was saying. About blaming redlining for why you didn't get a house, blaming racism for why you didn't get a job, blaming racism for why you had a bad run-in with the cops when you were probably the one that created that situation with the cops. That's all on black people. And it's not only the fact that black people do it, it's also the fact that black people also excuse it. I'll just give you a really good example. What's going on right now with going back with the Cincinnati couple. Cincinnati, the white man gets jumped. The white woman gets beat about her face. You had a Cincinnati congressman, female, black woman, come out and say that they begged for it. We had a black pastor come out and say, well, the white guy squared up with one guy, then another guy he smacked, and he should be brought up on assault charges. Like, well, wait a minute. In both of those situations, the white man engaged each black man and challenged each black man. So the black man that he smacked, that would have given the black man the permission to go ahead and defend himself, and only that black man. It didn't give the permission for the group of black men around him to go ahead and start jumping him. So at that point, the white man became the victim. But they don't want to see it that way because, hey, we need to protect black at all costs. The same thing that happened with Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony stabs a white kid, Austin Metcalf, in the heart, instantly killing him. Black America raised over $600,000 for Carmelo Anthony. And then we had the mirror situation happen with Shiloh Hendricks. Shiloh Hendricks, a white woman who called a little black kid a nigga with a hard R. Black people try to run her over and whatnot, not metaphorically, not physically, not literally, although I'm pretty sure they probably wanted to do that literally to her because some people wanted her hurt. She raised just as much money And now she's back into obscurity. Nobody even talks about Shiloh Hendrix anymore, which is exactly what I thought would happen. But Carmelo Anthony still has his travails about him. So black people keep making excuses for bad behavior as opposed to calling out the bad behavior and holding ourselves to account. Like he was saying, like Stevie Knight was saying, well, if we did this as a community, we would improve things real quick, but we don't want to do it as a community. We don't want to do that as a community. Let me go ahead and let him finish up what he was saying.
Have decorum, have etiquette, respectful, considerate, just knowing how to be a law-abiding citizen. Dog, we out here running this shit, dog. But nah, man. You know, the government want us to look stupid, want us to look ghetto, want us to look poor, want us to look weak, want us to look like gangsters, want us to be violent, want us to be killers and shit, man. Right? I mean, I'm talking about Chicago, bro. How many fucking Chicagos are there in America, bro? You know what I mean?
That's that mentality that we as black folk has grown up with. In the same video where Stevie Knight's talking about, well, we need to hold ourselves to account, he goes on to blame the government about the government wanting us to be a certain way. Like, nah, the government don't give a fuck about us. We this way because we're this way. We're this way because society has kind of said to itself, those black people, they're gonna always act like that. Let's just go ahead and let them do their thing over there, and we'll keep doing our thing over here. But of course, reality always intrudes. Eventually, what those black people are doing over there is going to impact society as a whole. And that's what we're dealing with now. And that's why we have a lot of black fatigue going on. So no blaming the government. This is all on black people. The government doesn't want us to be any which way. This is the way we made ourselves through our culture and through our entertainment, through our music. We have no one to blame for that but ourselves. Let me let Stevie Knight go ahead and finish up.
Certain pockets of the world, that's certain pockets of America that's fucked up. Majority of black folks out here just working, trying to earn a living, dog. They ain't worried about shit else, bro. But you know, that narrative definitely, you know, that narrative definitely is a motherfucker, man. So, yeah, I hate it. Right. Yeah. What? To sum it up, I know I'm long-winded, bro, but to sum it up, dog. It's a lot of right with what he said about certain black folks in the black community, bro. But, you know, he wrong as fuck by sitting here generalizing all black folks that way. But as a black person, if you take offense to that, knowing that you are not who he's speaking to, just know he's not speaking to you, right? And we need to hold the motherfuckers accountable that are out here making black folks look crazy. You know what I'm saying? Fucking Sexy Reds out here and Meg the Stallions and Cardi B's and you know what I mean, like fucking NBA young boys and the young thugs and the right, that shit glorified, dog. Got money behind it, and it you know, it's the hip hop, the prison lifeline, dog. Has done that a certain way. Anyway, I ain't mad at it. Dog.
I ain't mad at it either, but I'll just add one last thing onto that with what he's blaming right there. And it's going to be controversial, but I don't give a fuck. All you people that loved NWA, when they made that song, Fuck the Police, I think that really messed up the black community for a very long time. And I highly say this as Ice Cube made that really terrible ass War of the Worlds movie. He must be on hard times making some dumb shit looking like that. My goodness. Don't watch Ice Cube's War of the Worlds. It's a piece of shit. Check out my trailer on my reaction to the trailer on my Chris Boat's channel. That's where I do all my pop culture and anime and video game coverage. But no. Ice Cube is getting into his 60s. I think Dr. Dre is already there. But the surviving members of the NWA, they really need to come out and make a new song and make a new album, and they need to start trying to help fix the mess that they helped create with the black community. Instead of having a song called Fuck the Police, they need to have a song come out and say respect the police or fear the police. And I'm not using fear as in being afraid. I'm saying fear as in have respect and humility when it comes to dealing with the police. But if you guys want to view this video without my commentary, I will link it into the description. Once again, go and give Stevie Knight a subscribe on both of his channels. Like I said, I think he has 2 channels. This channel right here, Night Talk, I think he does mostly only cultural stuff. And then on the other channel, he does his hip hop reviews and all that. Go check him out on both of those channels. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications for this channel. My name is Chris Bolt signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video.